Good morning. I will still observe the same protocol. As I was introduced, I'm Fanuel Kalugendo. I'm from Tanzania. I'm currently working with an agency called Tanzania Rural and Urban Road Agency, TARURA, which could be equivalent to KURA in Kenya, maybe, or Kenya, because we have two agencies which are responsible for the roads. One is TAN road, looking at the national roads and regional roads. Then we have TARURA looking at district roads. But before that, I was working with the Dar Rapid Transit Agency, which is the BRT agency. So most of my story will be looking at that BRT system and how it could help us to move forward our cities. That's my bio, which was already presented to you. I don't have to repeat it. Maybe a little bit of my current agency. As I said, it's a national agency which are responsible for the rural and urban road. It's just 7-year-old. We were established in 2017. So, and our main responsibility is to oversee maintenance and rehabilitation of the district roads network in the country. We have a network of more than 144,000 kilometers. Whereby 79% of that network is in rural and 21% is in urban roads. Our current asset value is around 8.6 trillion Tanzania shillings, which is around 20% of the entire value asset of the road in the country. So we do model design. If you look at the chart, so most of our roads are just for collector, feeder roads, and the community. They are above one, the trunk and regional, and the mandate of Okay, now looking on the urban mobility in Africa, I know most of us, we have the opportunity to visit a number of cities in Africa. So we'll find the same kind of situation. Most of the city are urbanizing rapidly, which is the same with Nairobi and the other city, but with limited infrastructure. There is a number of severe congestion, and that results into a long commute time. But we have a lot of accidents, and most of them being involving the pedestrians, the captive into that problem. But we rely on informal public transport. I know you have matatu in Kenya, we call them daradara, but now there is emerging of boda boda and the bajaj, the tricycle, which for me as a transport planner, I can't call it transport, it's public transport, but they are transport available for public. You can literally use it when you want, but they are not public transport modes. But if you look from most of the people, especially politicians, they are promoting them as part of the public transport system, which is not the case. But also, most of the, if you look on the model share in most of the city, majority of us, we commute or we cycle. And very few of us, we are using the private car, not more than 10% to 15%. But most of the investment is being put in the roads, not looking at this major share of people who are using either walking or are using public transport. When you look from the system, the city level, public transport model have to be integrated. So we have the so-called multimodal transport approach. When you are planning for any transport system, you should not look on only one component. Look on the number of modes available in the city, depending on your city you are. It could be having rail, it could be having buses, it could be having private car. You have to look at the bicycle and the like. So this model have to talk to each other, because the center of transport planning should be people-centered. We plan for people, we don't plan for vehicle. But most of engineers, I know the highway engineer, my colleague, we put the vehicle as a key parameter into the design. Just why we start with doing the traffic count, we know the ADD, then we got the axle survey, and the like. But if you want to do the public transport, you have to start with the OD matrix, audio demonstration. where the people are living, where they are going, what are the purpose of those trips. Then you plan according to their needs. So from there, you create a small map or the master plan for all modes of transport and how they are integrated to each other. So the one you see here on the table is our Dar es Salaam Public Transport Master Plan. We have the railway, which are red and dot, existing at the plant. We have the BRT, we have the bus, the normal buses, but also we have terminal, primary and secondary terminals, which are all combined to create that level network of the public transport in Dar es Salaam. But the integration in public transport, you have to look on the main four issues. One is infrastructure integration. When you look on the map this side, this is the three phases of the BRT. The way the infrastructure being designed and planned, the bus can come from line 1 to line 4 or 3. The line 2 can go to the other line. So the infrastructure should allow that integration, because you don't plan from the infrastructure perspective, you plan from the operation perspective. But the second area where you have to look is the integration of the service and fare. As I said, the key parameter in the design of the public transport should be people. Who is our customer? Is a passenger. Where does he go? Maybe you walk from home to the bus stop. From the bus stop, you have to take the bus. Then from the bus, you are going to the ferry. You are going to the airport. You are going to the SGR. So how do we connect this point so that we have smooth movement for the passenger? So that's what have happened. If you look on the middle, the picture in the middle, our BRT have been connected with the up-country bus terminal. It's connected to the airport, which will be connected by phase 3, which is under construction. Line 1 is connecting to the ferry, which goes to the other side of Dar es Salaam. But line 2 is connected to the SGR station in the state center. So we are trying to make sure all the available modes are connected to this public transport system so that the passenger can move smoothly around the city. On the fare part is more make easier for the passenger. Because you will find if you are using a ferry, you need a card for ferry. If you are using a BRT, you need a card for BRT. If you are using, so we are now working on a system which we call the ITS and the automated fare collection to make we have one card, transport card for all modes. So it's just integrating different modes in the card and make sure people they can use the same card to use different modes. Then the last part of integration we are working on is on transport and land use integration. This is key. One, as you are talking, I think most of us we know the TOD, transit-oriented development, using the transport system at the center for urbanization and densification of the commercial and residential area in the city, but also the hubs, the terminals, and the station of the bus system are used to create more revenue to support the operationalization of the system. So the picture you see that side is a proposed development in one of our terminal at Gerezani Kariako for future, so that we can have people they can get out of the BRT, fund all the activities around that station, and at the same time we get more fund for that. However, there is a lot of management issue in public transport, and we normally have cycle. There is an integrated private market where the public market takes over. They run their businesses without any regulations or regulated. But if you do over-regulated of the operations, also it's a challenge. If you go for state-owned systems, which we used to have before after independence in Tanzania, we had a bus company, but did not do well. Now we need to maybe look at the mix between the public and the private partnership, and how best we can do the same. So these different solutions, they have different challenge and characteristics, but we need to analyze and see what the best can work. And for us, we just opted for the different and went to the BRT system. But why BRT? When you are looking at the BRT, first one of the things which are happening, and which must know, I know in Kenya, especially Nairobi, they are trying to do, no matter we are working on the BRT. Most of us, we are doing much good on infrastructure. That's well done. And if you go even to South Africa, they did it well. You go to Lagos, it has been done well. Senegal, they did well. What can be done, which can be done better, maybe procurement of the buses, but also the ITS system and integration, which are still missing most of the institutions. Most of our institutions are not very organized. I know there was a time when a team from Kura visited our project in Tanzania. The first question I asked, okay, if you want me to take through my project and the presentation, I need the Namata in the table. Where is he? They say, we are from Kura. So you are doing the BRT for whom? After doing the road work, who will be managing the system? Namata. So is he? Where is he? Because you don't plan the road and leave to somebody to learn without knowing what was planned at the first time. So the institutional framework and the regulatory framework need to be enhanced among the different players. But also system optimization. How do you take leverage of different system and parts around the system? So you don't work in silos, but you have to work as a team and make sure everything is working together. But taking care, how do you bring the private sector to play in these systems and support the government in delivering the public system? So you need to establish SPU, which is equivalent to Namata or equivalent to that, but now we need to work to manage the external agencies around that system. That's the key role of the Namata or that equivalent. When you look on the operation of the BRT, we have mainly two concepts or model option. One is called the net cost contract. This is whereby you give the operation to the contractor and he just collect the fare, run the bus. But because most of the fare in the city are set by the government agencies, normally they are not. They won't leverage to the operational cost. So the government may need to fill the gap financing. But this is not a best option because the incentive to the operator will be more to have few buses in the operation. We can carry more people so that it reduces the operation cost. The good model, which is option, is the gross cost. The gross cost, you give a contract to the operator where he can run a bus based on the number of kilometers where the bus will run a day. Then you pay for those kilometers. So regardless of the passenger demand at the station, the bus have to follow the schedule. Just why if you go to a development country, you find the train running without any passenger in the vehicle. It's because they have to do the kilometers which are required. And now the correction of fare is done by the government, then you pay on monthly, on weekly basis. So these are the two models which are normally used. And for us in Dar es Salaam, we started with the net cost at part of the interim service, but now we are moving to the gross cost because we are bringing more players, more operators into the system. Why BRT for Dar es Salaam? That was the question Nguru wanted me to explain more for you. We did not just wake up and say we are going to do BRT. Dar es Salaam, as it is in Nairobi, we have experienced a lot of congestion. The situation was not good. You wake up at 4 to be at work by 7:30, and you find yourself like spend a lot of time traveling. So the city have to sit down and what could be the solution. We analyze different modes, LRT, the BRT, the metro. But out of those models, BRT proved to be cost effective, far compared to the LRT and the metro. But also it's easier to implement. Quicker because you are using the existing corridor. We have road reserve, so we fit into the existing corridor. But for us, there is an area where we find the corridor was not enough to accommodate all the BRT and mixed traffic. We dedicated that corridor for BRT. So we give space to people rather than giving space to the individual who are using on a single car. But also, it's scalable to demand level. If you have high demand in this city, you can do a full BRT. If the demand is not too much, you can do light BRT, where it can have some area they are operating the mixed lane with the other vehicles. But if it's high demand, you need a dedicated lanes, and that's what we did. But in terms of the capacity of the BRT system, can it do better equivalent to the tram system? Bogota, I think, is one of the worldwide known BRT. They've been using BRT for all years. It's just in a few years they started now doing the metro. But they've been able to deliver the same service as the other cities in the Latin America. But also, you can easier align the implementation of BRT with the other institution, financing and institution capacity, because you use the same people. We are the same engineer. We've been training highway and the other roads to deliver the same services. Rather than when you bring the different models, you may need also to bring experts from outside to depend on them. If you look on our project, as I said, I've got 3 pillars. We have the infrastructure, we have the operation and maintenance of the bus, then we have the ITS and the AFCS. The infrastructure are purely implemented by government. We've mobilized resources from different partners. We contract, then we pay those loans from the taxes and the other government revenue. The operation is meant to be done by private sector, and we are using the PPP approach to make sure the leverage on the private resources available to do the operation. So the operator have to buy the bus, maintain the bus, run the bus, then we pay them according to the kilometer operated. We have the ITS part and the automated fare collection. This one, at the region, we wanted to buy from shelf everything and install and start operating. But later on, we decided to do in-house development of the automated fare collection, which is now currently working. If you look at the card, we are having public transport for BRT. But the ITS part now, the one which we are buying from the shelf, then we integrate the two to make sure that we get the real-time passenger information. You can get planner, you can search for when the bus is available at what time. But if you want to do a proper PPP on this one, you have to do a proper risky identification and allocation. Because most of the time, most of the people are failing because we tend not to share the risk rather than to transfer the risk to the private sector. And that has been happening most of the PPP project in Dar es Salaam. So you have to analyze all the issues at the planning stage, at the construction phase, and the maintenance. Then allocate properly so that the private sector, they are comfortable to bring their money and invest in their buses and their operations. For Dar es Salaam, we had the network of more than 154 kilometers of dedicated busways, which will be implemented in different phases. We have 6 phases of implementation. This was because of the availability of funds. As we speak, we have phase 1, phase 2 are already completed in construction, in terms of construction. Phase 1 was in operation. Phase 2, where the bus already arrived in Dar es Salaam, they start operation any time. For the phase 3, we are on construction in phase 4. Phase 5, we have signed the contract, and phase 6, we are looking for the financing of the construction. So our plan is by 2030 to have the entire network available for operation in Dar es Salaam. And when we have the entire network available, we expect to have 3,290 buses operating, one being the feeder and trunk services. But the capacity of the system now is to transport at least 3 million passengers per direction per day. So that's the expected passenger in the system. But also we have to develop the depot because depots are part and key element of the system where the bus will be parking, doing the services and the cleaning. So we are developing 14 depots around the system. But also we already had a service plan where we have more than 199 routes already established for operations. We have some areas where we have succeeded, and some of them we have faced some challenges. One, we have been able to do a full BRT planning and implementation. We have a full dedicated lanes, which improve the travel speed of the system. We have the modern stations, which are bigger. I think you can see some of the stations, like that one and this one. They are bigger, but also we have managed to install the fare collection systems. At the beginning, we have managed to incorporate the informal transport operators into the BRT. However, there is some challenge with that because the types of the business we are implementing the BRT is different from the one they are doing with the radar. So they didn't understand well, so most of them, they are not comfortable joining. But the system was managed to reduce the travel time. And we have did a lot of work, working and cycling infrastructure along the system. We are still facing some challenge, a lot of crowding, and I think if you see yesterday and the day after yesterday, there was some chaos around some of the system, but the coverage is not yet, we are not covering the entire city. There was some issue of delay of some of the project because of the lending acquisition and delay in automation of the system. So, but we are working towards to address this and make sure that the system is up and running as it's planned. Some of the length, what can be done different? Maybe we need to roll out the remaining routes so that people, now we have a full network operating from all departments, but also community engagement. This is key, especially for the informal transport operator to be brought in and join the BRT. If you don't engage them and understand the mode of the business we are doing and everything, even the circles type you're having in Nairobi and elsewhere in Kenya, they may not be easier converted to join. But we need to do connectivity to the last mile connectivity, because you find they have to drop people somewhere. How do they go to their last mile, their final destination? So that's an area we need to improve. Then we need to look on the stronger integration with the other modes, use of the ITS, and more inclusive design, where we have to consider the needs of these special groups so that they are properly addressed. If you look at the picture on the screen, this is another area which is being proposed as part of the TOD along the BRT system, which we think could also be part of the resource for the operation. What I'm proposing as a way forward, we need to integrate transport planning and the other urban development plans. So we are all planners, let we think not in silos, let's work together. We need to do sustainable green investment along the corridor. We are trying to promote that along the DART system, to where to plant trees where some of the areas, so that at least the city can get some green. Smart technology and data. We collect a number of data so that can help us to plan, knowing where people are going, which have been happening in the city. But private partnership is key, as I said. Delivering such a system you can do with only private state-owned company. You need a private sector to play its role also. Then we need to do regional learning and integration. As we said, we are learning from others what you are doing. If you have been in Senegal, Dakar, they came and learned in Dar es Salaam, but now they have a BRT which is up and running. They did not go to Bogota or Brazil or somewhere else. So we can learn from neighboring countries and make sure. So as we conclude, we say mobility is a critical challenge for African city, and it has been left out most of the time when we do the planning. We just allowed the private sector to take their own initiative and make sure they provide that service. But critical services, other services as water, as exist. With that few remarks, I thank you for your attention.